Hey guys, welcome to Fun Learning. In this video, we are going to discuss about the thalamus. With no further delay, let's get started. First, let us discuss about the introduction. I hope so you all know that the brain is divided into forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Under forebrain, we have telencephalon and diencephalon. Telencephalon is nothing but the cerebral hemisphere, whereas diencephalon, under this diencephalon, we have epithalamus, subthalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus. Among these four, the 80% of your diencephalon is being formed by your thalamus. Okay, I hope so you can see this diagram. This Y-shaped vala is nothing but the radial ventricle. On either side to this radial ventricle, we have large ovoid mass of grey matter, which are nothing but thalami. Okay, ma? The rostral portion of both the thalami, that is the head portion of both the thalami, are connected to each other by means of intermediate mass. Now let us discuss about the thalamic nuclei. We have many nucleus that is present over the thalamus, and we are going to classify this nucleus using two methods. First one is nothing but the anatomical classification, and second one is nothing but the physiological classification. First, let us discuss about the anatomical classification. As I said previously, thalamus is nothing but a mass of grey matter, and this mass of grey matter is divided into 5 main group of nuclei by the white matter, which is nothing but the internal medullary lamina. I am again repeating, thalamus is nothing but the mass of grey matter, and this mass of grey matter is being divided into 5 main group of nuclei by a white matter, and that white matter is nothing but internal medullary lamina. Those 5 group of nuclei is nothing but, in order to remember that, try to remember the mnemonic LIMP. In that, L stands for lateral mass of nuclei, I stands for intralaminar nuclei, M stands for medial mass of nuclei and midline nuclei, whereas P stands for posterior group of nuclei. So L stands for lateral mass, I stands for intralaminar, M stands for medial mass and midline nuclei, whereas P stands for posterior group of nuclei. Okay, so among that, this diagram will show you the anatomical classification. Midline nuclei is nothing but here, and medial mass of nuclei. Under this medial mass, we have 2 nuclei, that is nothing but anterior nucleus and dorsomedial nucleus. In order to remember this, try to remember the mnemonic DAM. So DM stands for dorsomedial nucleus, whereas A stands for anterior nucleus. And intralaminar nucleus is nothing but that is present over this Y-shaped internal medullary lamina over here. Intralaminar nucleus. Now let us just posterior group of nuclei are nothing but the pulvinar, medial geniculate body and lateral geniculate body. Now let us discuss about the lateral mass of nuclei with the help of the mnemonic. This lateral mass of nuclei is further divided into dorsal group and ventral group. In order to remember the dorsal group, try to remember the mnemonic DP. In that, D stands for dorsolateral nucleus and P stands for posterolateral nucleus. Under ventral group, in order to remember the ventral group nuclei, you have to remember the mnemonic LAP. In that, L stands for ventral lateral nucleus, A stands for ventral anterior nucleus and P stands for ventral posterior nucleus. And this ventral posterior nucleus is in turn divided into ventral posterolateral and ventral posterior medial nucleus. Now let us discuss about the physiological classification, which is also known as Bond-Dog classification. Under this, we are going to discuss about the 5 groups of thalamic nuclei. Among that, the first one is nothing but specific sensory relay nucleus. That is, this nucleus is going to relay specific sensation to the cerebral cortex. Under this, we have 3 nucleus, which are nothing but medial geniculate body, lateral geniculate body, ventral posterior nucleus. Medial geniculate body is going to carry the auditory impulses, whereas lateral geniculate body is going to carry your visual impulses. Whereas the ventral posterior nucleus, as I said previously, this ventral posterior nucleus is in turn divided into ventral posterolateral and ventral posterior medial, right? And this ventral posterior lateral, in short form VPL, this is going to carry sensations such as pain and temperature to the cerebral cortex. Okay. Second is nothing but specific nucleus. So under this, we have ventral anterior nucleus and ventral lateral nucleus. we discussed previously, right? The lateral mass is in turn divided into dorsal and ventral, and under ventral we are going to remember that by remembering the mnemonic LAP. So L stands for ventral lateral nucleus, A stands for ventral anterior nucleus, P stands for ventral posterior nucleus. In that ventral posterior மேல எழுதிட்டோம், மிச்ச ரெண்ட வந்து நம்ம specific nucleus எழுத போறோம். What is the function of this is, it receives signal controlling motor activities from cerebellum and corpus striatum and going to send the signal to the motor areas in cerebral cortex. Third is nothing but less specific nucleus. Under this, we are going to write all the, again remember L for lateral mass of nucleus is in turn divided into dorsal and ventral. Under dorsal we remember two type of nucleus, right? DP, which is nothing but dorsolateral and posterolateral. So this two type is going to come here, and P stands for pulvinar. And is going to send signal to the association areas of cerebral cortex. Non-specific nuclei. In this we have three nucleus. In order to remember this, you are going to remember the mnemonic MRI. M stands for midline nuclei, R stands for reticular nucleus, I stands for intralaminar nucleus, and this is going to send signal to the diffuse area of cerebral cortex. And fifth is nothing but limbic system nuclei. Under this we have anterior nucleus, dorsolateral nucleus. This is going to send signal to your limbic cortex. Now we are going to discuss about the thalamic connection. So afferent connection and efferent connection. So in order to remember the afferent connection, you have to remember four important mnemonic. First one is tools, second one is MAD, third is PG, and fourth is nothing but AMER. So tools में T stands for trigeminal reminiscus, O stands for occipital lobe, another O stands for optic tract, L stands for lateral reminiscus, S stands for spinal reminiscus. MAD, M stands for midbrain nuclei, A stands for auditory tract, D stands for dentate nucleus. PG, P stands for parietal lobe, precuneus cortex, and G stands for globus pallidus. Hammer, H stands for hypothalamus, M stands for medial reminiscus, R stands for red nucleus and reticular formation. So idhula vandu H, M, R. Okay va, micha A kum M kum E kum endha mnemonic kum illa, endha idu connections illa. So efferent connection, this is very easy. So we read optic tract inga. So appo inga enna irukkanuna visual cortex and occipital lobe. We read auditory tract here, and of course anga enna irukano auditory cortex irukano, right? So parietal lobe, hypothalamus is here, and globus pallidus is comes under basal ganglia. The balance two is nothing but putamen and caudate nucleus. Okay va, prefrontal cortex and limbic cortex. So these are nothing but the efferent connection. And now we are going to discuss about the functions of thalamus. Now let us discuss about the functions of thalamus. So the very important function of your thalamus is nothing but thalamus act as a relay center. So what they are trying to say here is all the periphery sensation, for example touch, pressure, temperature, vibration, all the sensation is first enga poga podu thalamus ku poga podu. Thalamus la this sensation is going to process and modify and later send it to your cerebral cortex. So what is a very important function of thalamus? Remember it, the very important function of thalamus is nothing but thalamus act as a relay center. So all the sensation except smell. So smell தவிர்த்து எல்லா சென்சேஷனும் first thalamus க்கு போகும், அங்க போய் process ஆகி modify ஆகி தான் specific area of your cerebral cortex reach பண்ணும். Okay, relay center and center for processing of sensory information. The third important function is nothing but center for determining the quality of sensation. So affective nature, அதாவது ஒரு sensation உங்களுக்கு pleasant இருக்கா unpleasant இருக்கா இல்ல, so அந்த sensation அந்த discriminative function யார் இது பண்ண போறாங்க அப்படின்னா, which is nothing but your thalamus. Center for sexual sensation, Role in arousal and alertness reaction because of connection with your reticular formation. Center for reflex activity. So எல்லா sensation first thalamus க்கு போறதுனால this act as a center for reflex activity. Integration of motor activity. In order to remember the function, try to remember the mnemonic RAM DSP. R stands for relay center as well as center for reflex activity. A stands for role in arousal and alertness reaction. M stands for motor activity. D stands for center for determining the quality of sensation. S stands for center for sexual sensation. P is nothing but the center for processing of sensory information. And applied physiology, thalamic syndrome, neurological disease caused by infarction of postroventral part of thalamus. அதாவது thalamusக்கு supply பண்ணக்கூடிய ஒரு branch which is nothing but thalamo-geniculate branch of posterior cerebral artery. இவங்க தான் thalamusக்கு supply பண்ணுவாங்க. இதுல ஏதாவது abstract இருந்துச்சு அடைப்பு இருந்துச்சு அப்படின்னா that results in thalamic syndrome. And adanaala, these are the symptoms which are going to result. First is loss of sensation. As I said previously, ella sensation first thalamus ku poi anga process aida cerebral cortex ku pogum appdin solli. So appo vandu thalamus la prachana irunduchina there will be loss of sensation. And second is nothing but astereognosis. That is, what is astereognosis? So ஐஸை க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிட்டு ஒரு ஆப்ஜெக்ட் டச் பண்ணியே அது என்ன ஆப்ஜெக்ட்னு கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், இப்போ இந்த பெண்ணை நான் கண்ணை மூடிட்டு டச் பண்ணேன்னா ஐ கேன் சே தட் இஸ் எ பென் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. பட் இந்த தலாமிக் சிண்ட்ரோம் உள்ள பேஷண்ட்டுக்கு அவங்க அந்த மாதிரி கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியாது. ஸோ அட்டாக்சியா, தலாமிக் பேண்டோம் ரிம்ப், தட் இஸ் தே கான்ட் ஏபிள் டு லொகேட் த லிம்ப். ஓகேவா, ஐஸை க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிட்டு அவங்க லிம்பை லொகேட் பண்ண சொன்னா அவங்களால முடியாது. ஸோ தலாமிக் பேண்டோம் ரிம்ப். அண்ட் anosognosia, spontaneous pain and thalamic overreaction. Very very important. Spontaneous அப்பப்போ பெயின் வரும். லைட்டா நீங்க டச் பண்ணாலுமே அவங்க வந்து ரொம்ப பெயினா இருக்கு, லைட்டா நீங்க டச் தான் பண்ணிருப்பீங்க, அதுக்கே அவங்க ஓவரா பெயினா இருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. which is nothing but thalamic overreaction. And involuntary movement under this atetosis, chorea, intention tremor அதெல்லாம் வருது. And thalamic are atetoid and. So இங்க andோட பொசிஷன் எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா moderate flexion at wrist and hyper extension at your fingers. So wrist la moderate flexion, fingers la hyper extension irupanga. With this I am completing today's video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Stay home, stay safe.